All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am James Howard Jr., co-founder and CEO of Kabila, a co-founder matching app and community of badass founders around the world. And you know how we do it. We continue to bring you interesting, effective, amazing people. And today is no exception. I have a good friend of mine coming up here in a second, the inimitable Mickey Reynolds, who is the head of programs for the Slauson Co. Friends and Family Accelerator. So we're going to bring her up real quick. We're going to get right into it. And while I'm doing that, if you could just drop in the comments where you're coming in from, and please hit the like and the share button and share this out with your friends so we can amplify this important work we are doing today. What's going on, Mick? How are you, Mixter?
I'm good, James. How are you?
So good to see you. So for those who don't know, I met Mickey Reynolds when Mick was running Grid 110, which is a nonprofit program in LA doing some amazing work for, BIPOC and other overlooked founders. And because we both went through the Techstars Foundation Accelerate Equity Program with my Parentpreneur Foundation, which I still do. So what's going on, Reg? Coming in from ATL. St. Louis in the building. What's going on? Dallas, love that. Keep it coming. Let us know where you're coming in from. We want to know. Please share. So yeah, so we met, and then we met in real life just 2-3 weeks ago. You were in town for the Atlanta, what was that? Startup Atlanta week, and what was it? Venture Atlanta week. Venture Atlanta. She was in town, and we met at Atlanta Tech Village in person in real life. It's always funny when I know somebody for like years and we finally meet in person. I'm like, are we just now meeting in person for the first time? Because I swear to God, we've like talked and texted for years. Yes, but welcome, right? So we got Atlanta in the building, more Atlanta folks coming through. Detroit, what's going on, Jesse? Good to see you, Jesse. Love
I was
it.
just in Detroit.
Oh, dope. Please share this out with your friends so we can get some more people into this conversation. So look, when I met with Mickey, affectionately known as Mixter, met with Mickey, she was telling me about, she's now at Slauson Co. and they're spinning up another Friends and Family Accelerator program. I'm familiar with it because they were doing it before. I had some people from my Parentpreneur Foundation community go through it, but they like really upped the stakes this time. It was like, what was it, like 20, 25 stacks last time, Mickey? And now it's 150 stacks. It was non-dilutive before, but we get into the real bags now, so they're going to need to take some equity. Rightly so. So I was like, hey, let's come just talk about this. So, if you have questions, we're going to have some questions for you to get the conversation going. But someone coming in from Arizona. What's going on, Rebecca? Welcome. Drop your questions in the comments, and we will do our best to get to everyone's questions. We only have Mickey for 30 minutes. But so Mickey, you had a program for Slauson Co. Can you tell everybody what Slauson Co. is, please?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me, James. Thanks everybody who's tuning in.
Of course.
So Slauson Co. is a $75 million pre-seed and seed venture capital fund based in Los Angeles. Our investments are all rooted in economic inclusion, meaning that we want to invest in a wider array of people that are creating opportunities for a much larger group of people outside of that. Our firm was founded in 2020. At the heart of everything that was happening in 2020, a pandemic, racial injustice, post George Floyd, and we are onto raising our second fund right now. So I've known Austin and AJ, the two managing partners, for several years now, and had partnered with them when I was running Grid 110. As you mentioned, we ran Friends and Family as a grant-based program before. And some decisions were made to bring that program in-house and to level it up and to be an investment-based accelerator. And so I took the opportunity. I felt like I'd taken Grid 110 as far as I could, found some good hands to leave it in, excited for the work that they will continue to do and to support however I can. And made the jump over to Slauson Co. to join the amazing team there and to relaunch this program. We just opened applications 2 weeks ago. And yeah, excited to invest in founders across the country, $150,000 for 5% equity, investing at the earliest stage. We call it Friends and Family because we recognize the lack of access to capital that a lot of early stage founders have, especially those that are underrepresented.
Mm-hmm.
And you've probably heard the term numerous times, like go raise a friends and family round before you know.
I mean, nothing makes my head explode faster than somebody telling me that.
Yep.
Right. We just, overlook founders. We simply don't have the friends and family to do that. I mean, it's just the data is what it is, right? Just go look at the wealth disparity and inequality charts, and you can clearly see, at least ethnically or racially speaking, overlook founders from those categories simply don't have the friends and family to, write them a 250K check so they can get their idea off the ground. We just don't have it. So that's why when you told me about this, I was like, yes, thank you, Jesus. we need to amplify this important work you're doing. So again, y'all, if you got some questions, 2 things, drop, let us know where you're coming in from. And she said, preach. Exactly. I've been known to do that. I don't know if this is your first time seeing me, Rebecca, but I do get my preach on and I'm a little ridiculous. So welcome to the party. Vicky's laughing because she's like, he's ridiculous. Yeah.
What I love about you.
Yeah. But please share this out so we can get more people in here. This is really important work that Mickey and the team are doing, and we want to amplify. Oh, by the way, I'm applying, so full disclosure, I'm going to apply. When do applications close?
Applications close. So we have we're doing rolling application review. So when you submit it, somebody will have at least 1 or 2 pairs of eyes on it within the first week or so. We have an early application deadline, which is next Tuesday, October 24th. And then we have a final application deadline, which is Sunday, November 5th.
Is there an advantage to applying early?
I think just in terms of we have kind of ample time to review as applications are coming in right now. Mm-hmm. We know that most people historically apply within the last 72 hours, and then it's kind of a rush and scramble to ensure that we're able to review all of the applications. So we can kind of a little bit more leisurely go through them now. And you'll have an opportunity to potentially speak to us sooner. We're actually doing kind of initial screening calls with companies that we have either questions about, want to get to know a little bit better through the process. Yeah.
That's so good. So someone says applying today as well. I don't know why sometimes when people come through on LinkedIn, it doesn't, sometimes it shows their names. Sometimes it doesn't. If you put in applying today as well, can you please just drop your name so I can know who that is? But that's great. So, and if I'm not mistaken, I actually looked at is it a type format application? I could be mistaken. Yes. And I think I looked at it, was not overbearing. Like some of these things, they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. but this one, I was like, okay, reasonable. I like that. Okay, so here's a question somebody's asking here, and that was Demetrius from College Cash. You know Demetrius Curry? College Cash. He's a Techstars alum. He's doing some interesting things, helping eliminate college student debt. Good guy, good friend. So this is a question here. Exactly right. So Slauson is assuming a valuation of $3 million. You want to talk about the terms of the deal?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's correct. So we did a survey of the market in terms of what other programs very similar who were targeting early stage founders and what their terms were. And we felt like this was a sweet spot in terms of something that was founder favorable and that wasn't kind of outside of pocket from what other organizations and programs were doing. We talked to a bunch of founders also in terms of founders that knew us, that had been through our program before, and if they had the option of going through something like this, like if they had any questions about it. And for many of them, it seemed like a very simple, straightforward option for them based off the stage of where they're at.
Yeah, like to me, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I feel like some people, but people who have a problem with that right now, they're just not really. And this is my opinion. Like I have very strong opinions, loosely held. And if you have a problem with those terms, you're just not really paying attention to what's going on in the market right now. Because not for nothing, I went through Techstars. I wear my Techstars shirt. And, the Techstars convertible note was a $3 million cap, right? We were pre-product, pre-revenue. I'm like, fine, no problem, right? Other people, depending on where you are, they might be different, right? So Kiana's coming in from Boston. So do you know Kiana? Kiana's part of my Parent Foundation community. She's also in the Kabila community. She's doing really good work. I'm sure she's going to be applying. You applying, Kiana? Drop a comment, please. Please share this with your people on social media, everybody. We want to get some more folks in here. Somebody, Liliana says, totally agree. Amazing value of 5% for 150K. It is like, friends and family is at the earliest stages. which means you probably, pre-product, pre-revenue, maybe you have an MVP, you don't have revenue in this market. I just don't think that folks should be turning their nose up at that. That's just me. So appreciate the compliment, brother. And the app is very straightforward. As for the 3 million, it's very fair. 100%. That's Demetrius. So Demetrius keeps it a buck. Love Kiana. Okay, right on. All right, cool. Kiana says yes, exactly right. So guys, drop your questions in here. We're going to get to all the questions. So how can people submit a great application, please?
Yep. So I think, as you mentioned, it's a fairly straightforward application. I think the first, handful of questions really ask very simple questions about you, your team, where you're coming from, if you've raised any money as of now. We have some more longer form questions that really just get into the heart of what's the problem that you're solving. How are you going to be utilizing these funds? Tell us a bit more about your team. Like, why does this matter to you? And I think the big question, especially for founders maybe coming out of Techstars or thinking about applying for this, is like, why friends and family? Why are you applying for this program outside of the capital? And you just went through in that kind of particular instance, you just went through a program.
Because you know the answer to that. Come on, you already know the answer to that. Let's be honest, right? Let's keep it a buck.
Yes.
Because I'm just going to drop this right here. This is Demetrius. And let's be real. It's a scorched earth landscape for pre-seed out there. And he goes, because he's ridiculous. Demetrius Curry fact. That's why I love him, because he's ridiculous. Demetrius Curry.
Yes, but that's why we want to know, though. Like, that's why we're asking why this program. So if we see that you went through Techstars, that's a perfectly valid explanation.
Right. Because if somebody's answering the question in a way that's not that answer, you're like, like, really? Come on. Like, we know what's going on. You're not being authentic. Probably like, yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah. And then I guess, and just in terms of some tips, so there is a video component. I think it's an opportunity because we don't get to meet every single founder. It's an opportunity for us to get to know you, your team a little bit better, better understand your why. Why are you uniquely positioned to build the company that you're building? If there's anything else that you'd like to share in that. Sometimes people just come across and are able to kind of communicate and articulate better, like talking like this versus writing an application. So we want to give people that chance through the video. And then you can optionally submit some other documents. So if you have a pitch deck, if you have a brand deck, if you have, prototype sketches, whatever it might be, anything else that you feel like would help complement your application. We do recommend that you kind of set aside some time to work on it. And I think maybe the incentive for submitting it earlier versus the final day is we can often tell when applications are rushed and you didn't put kind of your full effort into it. And so I think it's just like, take your time, have somebody else look it over, and make sure that it kind of makes sense and that you're putting, I think we often have a hard time maybe boasting about ourselves and like talking about ourselves in our best light. And sometimes other people can see that better. And so just ensure that you are putting your best self forward in the application. Use it as an opportunity to brag about you, what you've done so far, the progress that you've made, like why this is so important to you.
Yeah, so now the comments are flying in fast and furiously here, so I'm going to get to some of these. Again, y'all, please share this. Hit the share button, please. If you're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, please share. Thank y'all so much. So Liliana says it's dope. People do come across differently on video versus paper. It's true, right? Like, you get to know somebody and their personality. And look, I always say, first of all, part of the reason we do this is because, folks like Mickey and her team, like they're going to have probably 1,000 applications before this is all said and done, right? And this is their business, and they get to invite whoever they want to come work with them. And at the end of the day, and you can tell me if you agree with this or not, Mickey, you're going to invite people that you actually want to work with, that you like. You don't know them, but you like them so far and you want to work with them. And how do you get to like people? You have to get to know people. And I say it all the time. If you show up to these things, I say it, I'll keep saying it till it's no longer true, which probably be never. Investors invest in lines, not dots. So how do you create lines? You show up to this event. If you're interested in applying to this program, you need to get to know Mickey a little bit. Like, real talk. So Mickey, I'm going to ask you before this is all said and done, how can people connect with you, but I assume if they want to follow you on LinkedIn, you just go follow her on LinkedIn. You know, I'm a LinkedIn snob, so I don't just accept connection requests from people I don't know because I don't treat it like Facebook. But maybe she does, right? So, but if she doesn't, you can still follow her. And when she posts something, engage with her content, like build a rapport. If she posts that she has office hours, show up for the office hours, right? This is, this is how you get to know people. This is how you help them create lines, not dots. So this is what you have to do. So this show up here. When we're done here, if you want to apply, I just put up her LinkedIn profile. Hit her up, right? Just follow, comment on her post. Hey, I saw you on the conversation with James from Kabila. I really appreciate your time. I may have a follow-up question. Boom, drop it, right? So now next time you show up on her radar, she knows who you are. When she sees it, somebody from her team sees your application. If she sees it, oh, okay, I know who that is. Let me look at this a little bit more closely. I had good vibes from this individual. You disagree with any of that, Mickey?
No, I totally agree. My biggest tip for whether it's in this context or any for LinkedIn specifically is when you go to add somebody as a connection request, add a note to that so that there is some sort so that, because I get so many, right? But I'm very similarly, I don't accept everyone because of the fact that oftentimes someone will say, hey, I see that you're connected with so-and-so. What can you tell me about them? If I don't know or I can't say anything, that looks a little strange. So I will happily take, stranger people that I don't know, but if you provide context in terms of, hey, I'm a founder, I saw you on, the Kabila session, interested in applying for friends and family, or like, here's what I'm doing, or whatever it might be. Heard you were in Detroit, would love to chat about Detroit sometime. Any of those things, I think for any connection, it's just super helpful to get a better understanding of kind of who you are, why you feel like you want to, connect if we didn't already meet in person or at some other session already.
Listen, that is the money tip. I say it all the time. I didn't say it there, but I didn't know that you were a LinkedIn snob like me. So maybe we bond around that too, which is awesome. But that's it. Like, if you send someone a connection, because I mean, how many of these connection requests you get all day? Hey, I love what you're doing. Want to learn more? Or hey, love to connect. And I'm gonna be like, really? Why? So, but if somebody takes the time to put a thoughtful, relevant note, you get 300 characters. And when I do it all the time, I do this all the time. I maximize those 300 characters. Say something that's relevant. Flatter people. Everybody's human, right? Put a note. Got a higher likelihood of them accepting your connection request. And from there, you can drop a follow-up LinkedIn email, which is, now you're DMing with them. That's what you want too, right? So yes, that's great advice there. Okay, so somebody put something. I'm going to show this. Curious to get your thoughts about this. Curious to get my thoughts since I went through Techstars. Let's see. So, hey there, let me keep it gully. Some Techstars programs didn't guarantee capital at their demo day, and after program support regarding fundraising varies. I mean, I don't think that's gully. Like, nobody from Techstars is guaranteeing anybody anything from demo day. We had no investors come talk to us on our demo day. I don't know. Everybody's experience is different, but I don't think that's gully at all. It's a whole fact. And I'm guessing Demetrius wrote that too. Any thoughts about that?
So I have thoughts about demo days in general. And just after hearing about it, I've run accelerator programs for the last 8 years. Our very first one, we did a demo day. And then I think we realized a misalignment of expectations around what you're supposed to accomplish at that point and what you should do. And so I think it's great from an exposure perspective, maybe for investors who can show up and see 10 to 12 companies kind of pitching that they didn't really know about. But I feel like there's so much work that goes into it from a presentation, preparation perspective. Maybe it can be a little distracting as part of the program to be focusing on, like, I need to announce something. I need to have a deck put together. I need to memorize all of this. And so for our programs, we don't do a demo day. I think it's really important to just work on your business for those 12 weeks as much as possible. And if we can give you the tools and resources to carry on after the program, we do focus on fundraising and access to capital. How do you run an effective fundraising process? Like, it's a game and there are rules to the game. So can we help you demystify how you can be more successful at it? And then post-program, I mean, I still talk to founders that previous to working with Slauson Co, I worked with 350 companies very closely, not on their cap table, was not an investor. I invested my own time and resources into them. And so I have, in comparison to maybe other investors, I have no kind of requirements to continue following up with them and working with them, but I do. I still talk to founders that I worked with 3, 4, 5 years ago. And so now that I will actually be on cap tables, I will be an invested investor in your company. You better believe that I will come, with support and resources. And if you need something from me 3, 4, 10 months, a year later after the program, I want to ensure your success. And that doesn't just mean fundraising. We don't expect that all companies will be venture scale. It could be that you are still trying to figure out which pathway you want to go, what kind of funding makes sense for you. But if we can help you build a strong, sustainable business that focuses on your unit economics and the idea of actually generating revenue and marching towards profitability, those are things that are important to us. And so we want to make sure that you are set on a path for success, whatever that looks like for you.
Right on. That's such a thoughtful, thorough answer. And so, I've been noticing in the landscape that there have been some new thinkings about demo days. I know Techstars just revamped how they're doing demo days. I know for me, at least for me, we got a really great demo day video out of it. So I still use that sometimes. So that was great. So here's a question from, is it Reiko? I apologize for mispronouncing that. Is there a preference for teams versus solopreneurs? Dun, dun, dun.
There is not. I think
no?
we've actually, no. I think it comes down to so we talk about, if you're talking about multiple people on the team, when I think about team, it's whoever is on the founding team that is starting this business. That could be one person, that could be 2 people, that could be 3 people. It really comes down to the team. And if you are kind of uniquely equipped, you have a lived experience in the space that you're building in, you've maybe been able to recruit support in terms of initial hires or favors or whatever it might be to kind of build the thing that you're building. I think most of the founders that I have worked with have been solo founders. There's no bias towards if you have more than one. There's no requirement to have an additional founder. I think there are some programs that require you to have a technical co-founder. And so that's not the case with us. But again, it comes down to do we feel confident in the team, whether that's 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, ability to do what they say that they're trying to do if they're given the support that they need.
Oh, that's amazing. So I gotta put this up. Hang on a second. I gotta find this. It's so funny. Brandon says, please forgive, did not include a note. He sent you a LinkedIn connection request, but didn't put a note.
Noted.
Noted. No note. Noted. And Liliana, does Liliana work with you? She's
So Liliana is amazing. She is a founder here in Los Angeles. She runs she probably could describe it better than myself, but a coding school for, I think, mostly underrepresented individuals trying to be an on-ramp for people wanting to break into tech. Liliana, please correct me if any of that is not true or has changed in the time. And so if you're looking for technical talent, definitely hit up Liliana. They have been, I think, running programs for the last 8 to 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And truly an incredible resource with what they're doing in terms of being able to be this on-ramp for people that are interested in leveling up or learning technical skills.
So good. So Liliana, are these your office hours? I assume these are your office hours if people want to learn more about what you're doing, presumably.
I think she might be sharing my office hours.
It's probably your office hours. Whose office hours are those? So Liliana said, too sweet, 10 years. That's what's going on. So hang on a second here. Just trying to get to so
you had mentioned how to connect with people, right? So we have one more info session. You kind of heard the highlights of the program here with me today. But our team will be doing one more info session next Tuesday. And then we have office hours, which are basically just drop-in kind of casual group sessions where as you're working through the application, if you have questions that come up and you want to pop in and ask them, we're basically trying to create as much accessibility throughout this process as we
So
can.
is that like a virtual, the office hours are virtual, it's on camera. So look, that's another opportunity. If you want to apply, you don't know Mickey, you should go. That's another dot, right? She met you here. You connect with her on LinkedIn. You send her a note. ... You show up to the other thing. ... Oh, look, we got a solid line now. Are you helping her create a line, not dots? Do we need to provide an official evaluation during the process?
Not as part of the application process, no. So I think we ask for more so like traction and metric points. So have you raised any money? If so, how much? There is a maximum ceiling that you can have raised, which is $1 million. But if you've raised no money, that's also perfectly fine. I think the majority of applications that we've seen so far have raised $0 externally, which is the case with a lot of founders. But yeah, there's no, at least in the application process, you don't have to submit a cap table. You don't have to submit anything like that. If we ultimately decide to move forward with the investment, there are kind of legal diligence documents that are required later on at that point, and we'll outline those in advance so everybody knows what they are, but not as far as the application process.
Yeah. So before we because we have 4 minutes left here. Again, if you're listening to this, please just share this out. This is an important conversation, and folks need to know what Mickey and the team are doing. This is God's work they're doing. I had another question here, but I'm looking at something else here. Let's see. What kinds of introductions are you making to the founders going through the program to help them with raising capital? I know Slauson has a $75 million fund. You said you're raising another fund right now. So here's the application to the program. I just put that up a second ago. That's streaming on the bottom of the screen right there.
I just want to address one of the questions I saw real quickly. So Kiana, there are 2 more office hours sessions before the end of the, not the early deadline, the ultimate deadline. But if you have specific questions, just email programs@slauson.co. And if it's something quick, happy to respond to it.
Programs@slauson.co. You can send an email to that. That's so good. But yeah, like it's hard out here because I know you guys have a bias towards, overlooked or underestimated founders. It's hard raising capital right now. Like, what are you guys doing to help them, because you raise 150K, you're presumably going to need more. Like, what are you guys doing to help them raise additional funding or think about how to raise more funding? Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think it's the focus on the business aspect. So ensuring that you've got a strong foundation for your business, that if venture capital is what you need and that's what makes the most sense, what are the metrics that you would need to hit in order to obtain some sort of additional follow-on capital, whether it's from us or from any external sources, just really helping you understand what that process looks like. I think a lot of founders ultimately don't understand the fundraising process, and the goalposts keep moving, and that's unfair. I mean, I think what we're seeing this year is so different than 2020, 2021, and there's you can't raise at these inflated valuations anymore. And I actually think that's a good thing, because I think we're going to see a lot of fallout from what happened with those valuations. So we want to try and, what is a valuation? What does that mean? What are the average ones that you're seeing these days for the stage of my business? Who are the investors that I should be, connecting with? How do I go about connecting with them? Do we have anybody like a 1 degree of separation? All of those things. So I think it's ensuring that they have kind of the proper tools from the business aspect, so that they understand their numbers, their margins, their unit economics. Like, are you building an actual, business that has like a strong footing? And then what is it that you need to grow that business? And what are the levers that you can pull? And then which sources of capital, and how can you pursue those sources of capital?
So presumably you're looking to let companies into the program who you think can get to venture scalable revenues, or not so much?
I think the majority, it's like, and they may be early. They may not know, if it's going to be a venture scale outcome or not. It could still be a, very sizable or large outcome specifically for that founder, for their family, for their community. And so not discounting that by any means. I think we're leaning towards things that are scalable. Typically that means it's technology or tech enabled involved, but if it's innovative, if it's scalable, like we would love to see it and figure out a way, if it makes sense to work with you.
All right. Well, this was amazing. Thanks everyone for your questions and comments. You can connect with Mickey here on LinkedIn. Mickey Reynolds, as she suggested, make sure you send her a note when you send your connection request. Tell her you saw her here at the Kabila conversation with James. That's me. And okay, so the last question here. I'm a new business owner, acquired family business, new to business industry, and would love to join a network like this, not in the tech industry. Interesting. Thoughts about that?
So maybe looking, I guess starting locally, if there are any resources that your city provides in terms of that, I know in Los Angeles, there's a university called Loyola Marymount University, LMU, that actually has a family-owned business program. So it's for like legacy businesses. And they do, very similarly kind of like acceleration programs there. So I think one, just looking locally to see if there's anything. James, you've got a couple of really great founder communities that you run that people can get involved with.
Yeah, our Kabila community is for tech startup founders, though, unfortunately. And then the Parentpreneur Foundation is for Black parents who are entrepreneurs. But that's parentpreneurfoundation.org. If you're a Black parent and entrepreneur, want to join us there, you can certainly do that. All right, so we're at time. Do you have a second? I want to close out and then just wrap up with you behind scenes, Mixter, if that's okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate your time. I'm going to roll this this outro video here, and we're going to get out of here. Catch up with you next time. If you're in Atlanta, at Kabila, we're doing these Tech Tuesdays, Founder Happy Hours. November 7th, we're doing one at WeWork in Midtown, Peachtree and 14th, College Square. And we have my dude, Clarence Bethea, dope founder. He went from the streets to successful founder. Now he's a VC at True Ventures. He's going to be in town in person telling his story. Again, you want to connect the dots with somebody like that. They write $1 million checks on some back of the napkin maneuvers. Crazy. So if you're in Atlanta, come through, check us out. Tech Tuesdays Atlanta. You can go to techtuesdaysatlanta.com and RSVP for that as well. All right, I'm going to roll this outro video. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate y'all. See you next time. Later.